Michael, I'm sure it's going to be a big summer for Spurs. Have the ownership said anything about how they are going to try and prevent such a disastrous season from happening again?
Well, it's interesting because over the last 25 years, you pick up a programme on the final day of the season and you usually read Daniel Levy's end of season programme notes, a review of the season, what they look to do better, the mistakes they made, you know. But there was nothing yesterday from board members or long statements. So I'm just going to give you the top bits. First one for me is Spurs are not for sale despite speculation, and they're making a commitment to build a squad. Roberto De Zerbi is capable at the highest levels of the Premier League and in Europe. Let's not forget Spurs aren't in Europe next season, but they have committed, they are promising that they will spend this summer. Also, the investigation going on into the medical department as well because of all the injuries. But a lot of Spurs fans are thinking and saying that we've heard this before, so it is a wait and see. But what we do know with Roberto De Zerbi, he's going to be very hands-on. He's going to have the final say. No player will come in without him saying yes, that they'll be his players. But I think the message is clear here, is that yes, that there were celebrations, but they were more of relief. And it's going to be a very, very busy summer. Over the last few weeks, he's always spoken highly of the squad members he's got here. He loses one player to an ACL, another player to a hamstring injury, and he always talks highly about the person that's going to come in and replace them. And I think that was a brilliant job that he did there, because giving the players confidence, making them feel good about themselves. But he will know deep down that Spurs need much more quality, especially in that final third. So I think we might see even a different, maybe a sharper Roberto De Zerbi than we've already seen at Spurs this season. But I think it's very clear here that this nightmare of a season's over, but they have to reflect, and this cannot happen again.
Thank you, Michael. Kevin, we heard James Maddison and Conor Gallagher speaking there, really crediting De Zerbi. Maddison in particular for survival, basically. Does that hint at all at how bad it was prior to De Zerbi, would you say?
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. It's sort of the recruitment hasn't been great, but the recruitment of managers as well. You know, you go from Ange to Thomas Frank, who's a more pragmatic approach. Ange was all out, wanting to attack everything else. And then Igor Tudor comes in, and you're sort of looking at it, and you can see that, you know, but he wasn't able to bring in his assistant, who's supposed to be the key to him as well, because he's sort of more the hard nose, you know, doesn't, you know, hold back, and his assistant was supposed to be the arm round, but he couldn't get a visa. So that was, you know, a disaster. But then when you see what De Zerbi's done, Roberto De Zerbi's done an incredible job keeping them up, because, you know, they could, as you've seen the two boys there, the two lads saying, you know, giving confidence just to the squad. You know, Conor Gallagher, who's an international player at Atletico Madrid, you know, done fantastically well at Palace, you know, had these big moves, saying that, you know, his confidence was on the floor, and he you know, he needed someone to tell him he was a good player and give him the tools to go and do it. And no matter how good you are, sometimes that's what it's needed. And when everything can negative outside the club and around it, you need someone to go and take the reins, and that's what he's done. The big thing for him now is what we've just talking about West Ham, is the recruitment. Who does he get out the door, and who does he bring in? Because it's a big moment for him as well, because this is probably something that he's never done, if you like, building a club, you know.
Yeah. We'll talk about Spurs building up in just a sec, but I just want to come back to Thomas Frank. Yeah. Do you think they should have sacked him sooner?
Well, to be honest, he never ever quite fit the Spurs mould, and for me, when since I've been playing, if you like, and I thought it was a real strange appointment for me. But Thomas obviously has got, you know, he's done a fantastic job at Brentford, which obviously keeps now taking on. And there's no doubt about his credentials, but it didn't ever feel like it was a right fit anyway. So it was going to be difficult, and the owners again took a massive chance on that. But so they had to back him. You know, once you've made that appointment and you've made him the one to take your club forward, you've got to back him and give him that opportunity in time. So I'm glad that they did, because it showed that with with their person in, they're going to give them an opportunity. But again, it probably put them in the position where they've ended up now. And obviously, to have another season like they did last season in the Premier League is a disaster for Tottenham. And De Zerbi's got a lot of work to do now.
So how do they stop that from being a third season two now, 17th place finishes? Will they be in a relegation battle again next season?
Well, I'm sure when Roberto De Zerbi took the job, he got assurances that he will have full, you know, a run of the club, if you like, in terms of recruitment, in terms of who he wants to go out, and they've got to back him now. They've got to back him because he's done his first job. His second job now is his recruitment over the summer. Who does he get in? Who does he send out? Who does he get in? Once he's done that, then it's about how he wants to then impose his style on within the team and on the squad. And because they're not going to be in Europe, it's going to be a lot easier for him to have them time on the grass and be with his players, you know, for a lot longer. Because when you're in them European competitions, a lot of it's done in the analyst room, and you're not getting that much time on the grass. So he's going to have that week to week, a bit like what Michael's had at Manchester United, and able to mould Manchester United quite quickly into what he wanted them. So that's his next step now, is this recruitment, and then from recruitment then he will have to then start imposing styles, and he has got some really top players in there. Maddison, who's been out for the season, you've seen there, Conor Gallagher, Momo Kudus, who will come from West Ham. So, you know, Kuklensky, who's been out, or it's easy for me to say, Kulusevski, you know, who's been out for a long time as well. Solanke, who's been in and out. So he's got the tools to work there, and I think in his sort of formation, the way he wants to play, his style, he's got some real good individual talent there, which will help him next year, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, so they seem to be the core. Do you think that he will build around that? And then where else do you think he will need to strengthen? Well,
I think, obviously, there's the situation going on about Romero. Is he going to go? Will he stay? Will he go? I think he'll sort of go, well, look, if you're not fully invested in what we want to do, then we move you out. I think that's what the first and foremost. I think the people who've been, you know, always on the cusp, and you hear a few stories here, there and everywhere, he'll go, I want them out. So I think central midfield will be a key position, and centre half, I think he's got Jed Spence who's going away with England. So they have got some real good talented individuals. What he's got to do is, he's as a manager now, he's got to have the backing of the board, which it seems he's going to have. And then he's got to make them big calls in the summer, and you can't have, you know, people hanging around and just being there because they want to be at Tottenham Hotspur. They've got to be there because they want Tottenham Hotspur to be better, and I think that's what he'll be looking for, and I think he'll be cutthroat.